We're going to take a quick trip here into gathering materials according to Dr. Stephen Lucas's The Art of Public Speaking. This is chapter 7. I'm also going to do kind of an addendum video to this to show you some of the ways that I do research. First, let's take a look at what Dr. Lucas has to say about gathering materials. Okay, when you are gathering materials for a speech, obviously, the first thing you should start with is your knowledge. Draw on personal experience. What do you know? What are you interested in? What do you want to find more out about? That's where we start when we are gathering materials for a speech. Then we can go and grab some library resources. This is becoming less and less popular. However, I often find that there are very nice people who work in libraries, and they are very knowledgeable about how to find information, and they can do it even faster than I can. And I've been doing a lot of research. I have a few degrees, and it takes a lot of research to get that done. So these nice people are called librarians. They have catalogs of the information that they have available in their library and in other libraries within their systems. There are also reference works, and these are works that you can go find. We'll talk about that in a minute. Newspapers and periodical databases, and then academic databases. So let's talk first about the catalog. This is a list of books, periodicals, and other resources owned by the library. Usually this is the physical library that you have on campus, although it could also be a library that is part of a system, and they have a catalog for those as well, using things like interlibrary loan. Reference works are works that synthesize large amounts of information. These things include encyclopedias, yearbooks, quotation books, and biographical aids. Newspaper and periodical databases include articles from magazines, journals, and newspapers. They are easy to access and they cover a wide range of materials. Academic databases include articles from scholarly journals, and they are the best place to find scholarly research. An abstract is a summary of a magazine or journal article. However, as Dr. Lucas says here, and as I will remind you, do not cite the abstract alone. There is too much information within the article for you to just cite what the abstract has to say. So then there are specialized resources. And like I said, I went through this a little quickly, but where you would find these specialized resources. The government resources will come from websites like .gov, .mil, and so forth. Sometimes .org, but that's getting more into organizations, sometimes nonprofit organizations, but that's where you're going to find government resources. And then the last one, a specialized resource, is Wikipedia. I'm going to give you a hint. Teachers and professors do not like it when you cite Wikipedia. Okay, so if we're not going to cite Wikipedia, but Dr. Lucas said we could use it, what are we going to do? When you get on the Wikipedia site, you can gain a lot of information really quickly about a topic, but it's just not a good place to cite. Why? Because it's not necessarily accurate. It can be changed, although they're becoming a little bit more restrictive on who can change the information on their website. It's still able to be changed by just about anybody to update the information, and it could be changed in somebody's favor or towards somebody's conservative or liberal affiliation, right? Okay, so that means that we go to the bottom of the Wikipedia article and we find the sources at the bottom of the page. With the sources at the bottom of the page, there are usually links to accurate references. Then you can actually go and find that scholarly journal article or the magazine or newspaper article that was cited by Wikipedia. That's what you cite. Don't cite Wikipedia. In a speech, if I hear, according to Wikipedia, my students lose points. I am sure this is the way it is in most college level classes. When you are evaluating documents, whether they are on Wikipedia or otherwise, you want to check the authorship, the sponsorship, and the recency. So we need to know who wrote the article or who sponsored it, and how recent is the material that's provided. I usually say within 5 to 10 years is a good recency limit. Why? Well, let's think about the things that have happened just in the United States or even in your community in the last 5 to 10 years. Wow. And what about if we take into account the entire world? Again, that's a lot. So let's try to limit our articles to the last 5 to 10 years. And then if you are doing a historical topic or something more historical in nature where you need to get older documents, then they'd probably be more acceptable. But you must find the most recent documents to make your speech the most relevant to the audience. Who sponsors the article? Why is that important? Well, some people pay to get information put out into the public that is appropriate to what they believe or that supports their cause. So you want to know who sponsored it. And if possible, find the author. Who actually wrote the article? This is good to know when you're trying to evaluate an internet document or a document that you find in written form. Another method to gather materials for a speech is to do a research interview. This is an interview to get information for your speech. Duh, right? A research interview is interviewing someone who is maybe an expert on the topic who could provide a testimonial or a narrative or something that will help you get further along in your research. Maybe some of the stuff you're going to be talking about in your speech is relatively new research. So, do a research interview of somebody who's an expert in the field. When you're doing a research interview, there are questions to avoid. Okay? These are questions that are answerable without the interview. These are things that you can look up online, things that you can Google and find out. Also, don't ask leading questions. My dog is a lab and wire hair. Don't you think that lab and wire hair dogs are the best dogs out there? That's definitely a leading question. And then the last one is asking hostile or loaded questions. Shouldn't people only have dogs if they are good for hunting? I'm not sure that I believe that, but that would be a hostile or a loaded question. When you're doing research, start early. I know, I've been a college student and a college instructor for long enough to know that students often wait until the last minute. That's why I have the assignments set up the way that they are, so that you can start your research early, just in case the information for the topic you've chosen is not available. Think about the materials. As you find the materials, think about how you will use them. Make a preliminary bibliography. In other words, write down where you found the information, when you found the information, so on and so forth, so that just in case you need to actually cite the article or go back and find it, you are able to do that. And then the last one is to take notes efficiently. If you need to, you are certainly welcome to print out an article and go through it and highlight it. This is definitely a way of taking notes efficiently. Quickly, some more notes on efficient note-taking. Take plenty of notes so that you don't have to keep repeatedly going back to gather more information. Record your notes in a consistent format. So if you're like me and you want to print out the article, you can only print one copy if it's a copyrighted material for academic purposes only, and then you can go through and highlight information. This does end up with a lot of paper, so you can also do note-taking on your own, but make sure that you do it in a consistent format so it's easy to make sense of. Make separate entries. Make a separate entry, whether it's a separate paragraph or a separate page, for each of the sources that you're going to use. And then you definitely want to distinguish direct quotations, paraphrases, and your own ideas. Remember, we talked about plagiarism, and you don't want to be cited for plagiarism, so make sure that you do those things. That's the quick and dirty, the short and easy, whatever you want to call it, when it comes to giving speeches and gathering materials for giving speeches.